Hey everyone, this is going to be my first 66 days of data challenge. And I'm going to document the process of how I started and at the end look back at what I've achieved over these 66 days. Today is day 33 of this challenge and I did it. I created my first Power BI dashboard. And will I do this challenge again? So it has been said that it takes 66 days on average to form a habit. And I'm gonna set a goal to spend at least 20 minutes a day. For me, I think 20 minutes seems like a very reasonable time. And I hope that even on busy days, I should be able to find that 20 minutes. So how I imagine this is that maybe on certain days, I will spend 20 minutes, maybe more, maybe even hours. So there is no actual time defined, but the minimum will be 20 minutes. And every day, I'm going to log in this tracker what I've done and how much time I've spent on it. So for the activities, I've categorized into two main activities. One will be learning and the other will be practice. So what falls under learning will be anything like reading or watching a video, and hands-on time will then be considered as practice. I will also take note on what I've done or what are the key takeaways for the day. This is day 1 of the challenge. Okay, so for a start, I'm going to go to Udemy and search for Power BI courses. So let's see what we have. There's desktop, not a practical guide, nope, not for me. Complete introduction, bootcamp. Let's see what's there anymore. Power BI for beginner. Alright, there's a lot of courses here. Okay, let's see what we have selected. We'll just look at the popular ones. Review looks good, I guess. Let's see the course content. Okay. How long does this take? 11 hours. 11 hours seems okay. Okay, let's see the other one. Blah blah blah. What do we have? Seems like there's something about DAX formula. DAX or DAX or something. Okay, this looks like something different. There is things related to R. This course is well designed. I like this one. A lot saying it's well structured, well designed, goes from beginner to expert. This seems like a good one. Nah, not this one. Okay, I think I'm going to watch 2 courses. So first one will be this one to give a super beginner start to it. And then maybe this one, which might give a more deeper dive, and also maybe to help reinforce what I've learned from this other video. And I do like to watch different courses. I feel like different instructor has different learning style, and you kind of picked up different things from there as well. Roll now. So now let's get started. Done with day 1. Started Udemy course. Got a intro on the interface and I spent about 30 minutes. Checking in on week 1. Not too great of a start. I skipped 2 days out of 7 days, but on day 2 I did 60 minutes, so I guess maybe that makes up for it. So far what I've learned is the first step to Power BI, which is to connect to the data source. I've learned the basics of connecting to the data source, how to transform and format the data. And I also had an introduction to the terms in Power BI, such as the Power Query Editor, what is the M code, and concepts on literal, which I have no recollection what that is now. And I have also learned what a data model is, how to build the relationship, and the course also covers some basics on databases like normalization, fact dimension, primary key, foreign key. And on day 6, continue learning how to build the table relationship, how to join with the different keys. And besides tracking the key things that I have learned for the day, I also have a separate notes page where I have more details on what I actually learned during the day. So yeah, there we can find literal. It got to do with something on data padding. Okay. Yeah. My initial thoughts on Power BI after starting this course is that Power BI seems like an extension of Excel. And since I started on this course, my impression on Power BI actually has changed. I didn't realize they actually have a lot of learning resources, and it seems like they have an active community. I always had the impression that Tableau's strength is the active community. Tableau has things like public Tableau, where users can share their creativity on how they build their dashboard and can find inspiration from there as well. They also have things like IronVis, which engage the community. And it seems like Power BI also has something similar with the data story galleries. And looking at their YouTube channel, it seems like they are starting to build this community live show over here. So this might actually be something new. I'm not sure. It started 6 months ago. So yeah, if there's any active users of Power BI, do let me know if that's the case. Okay, so I'm on day 3 of week 2, doing great so far. So on day 8, I have learned about filter flow. On day 9, I've learned about hiding fill, what are some of the new model features, and also the course demonstrated a demo on what I have learned so far on the filter flow relationships and hiding of the fill. And yeah, I'm almost halfway through the course now and finally getting to the DEX calculations, which I believe is the core of Power BI. And there is 3 hours to this section. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so just done with week 2 and just nice, I have finished the DEX section of the course. And so far this week, I have skipped only 1 day out of the whole week, which was yesterday. I totally forgot about it. I guess the habit of learning hasn't kicked into me yet. And I have managed to complete this 3 hours section over these 4 days. So on day 2, I have actually skipped quite a bit because the course went through a lot of the list of the functions, which I thought was quite basic. It's very similar to Excel, so I was quite comfortable understanding it, so I skipped through it quite fast. And so far, my impressions on Power BI is that the calculation might seem to be a bit more complicated than it necessarily needs to. When the course went through the concept of iterator function like SUMX and sum, which I thought seems a bit unnecessary because in Tableau, the sum function actually performs what the SUMX also does, and it also can also perform the sum function. What impresses me about Power BI so far is the table features. So one thing that I find that Tableau can improve a lot on is its tables. It's very frustrating to work around with tables because when working with tables, it's natural to relate it back to Excel. You want tables to work like Excel, but it's so frustrating. You have to do a lot of work around to get the same results as what you try to build in Excel. What I like so far about the features demonstrated in the course was the drill down feature in Power BI. So by default, Power BI already has this drill down feature, which is very nicely built. I like the format of how it is a single row drill down. You can drill it down to the next level, and you also can see it in a tree view or in a single column. But in Tableau, to do that, it needs a lot of workaround. You need to do things like data scaffolding to try to rebuild this view. And another thing that I like is that in Power BI, it's so easy to build inline tables. You can just click on the formatting and a data bar chart just appears. Whereas in Tableau, you have to create separate marks card and try to build an inline chart table. And now back to the course, I have learned about data sources, formatting, and the logics of the calculations in Power BI. Now finally, we get to the visualization part of Power BI. I am very interested to see how the visualization work in Power BI. Okay, so I'm wanted into this challenge now. Today is the 22nd day and I've completed the Power BI course. And now I think it's time for me to do some hands-on practice. I've been avoiding it throughout the course, was a bit lazy and just watching the demo. This course is actually a really great course for someone who is trying to pick up Power BI and has no knowledge on Power BI at all. It is really easy to follow along and it also covers fundamental concepts on data and how to analyze data. And the course also provides material to follow along and do some hands-on practice, which I should really start getting on. Now the next thing to do is to get Power BI installed to get some hands-on practice. And because Power BI is not supported on Mac, I have to find an old Windows laptop to work on this. And let's get this installed now. Now that I have Power BI installed, I am going to choose this bonus project and try to complete this. So I'll follow the steps here to connect all these data sources from the resource this course has provided and eventually build out the final report, which should look like this. Let's see how this will turn out. Now the first thing I need to do will be to connect the data source. So I need to connect to a CSV. There's no CSV here, so I guess I should click on this. Okay, and there is CSV connect, and the first file to connect is the customer file. Okay, and the instruction is to name the table as customer. How do I name the table? Transform data maybe? Yes, this is where I want. Today is day 33 of this challenge and I did it. I created my first Power BI dashboard. And to check in on the progress so far. So it took me about 11 days to complete the hands-on practice. Started from day 23 to today, which is day 33. And throughout this 11 days, I have skipped 2 days. Guess not too bad. Practicing does take a bit of effort and mental energy. Yeah, and I think I did really well. On certain days, I actually spent almost an hour and more than an hour on it. And this is good. I have taste of how to work with Power BI. And now I'm going to do another course on Power BI. I hope this will reinforce my learning. And now that I have actually spent time on Power BI, I will be able to hopefully relate more to what the course is teaching. So let's go! And I am back. It's been 22 days and I have finally finished the second Power BI course. The style of this course is from a more practical approach. So it went through more details and it introduces how Python and R can be used in Power BI. It also covered more practical things like row-level security and it gave me a better sense of how I can build enterprise solutions with Power BI. And over this course, I've also jotted down some differences of Tableau and Power BI. And probably someday I might want to do some videos on the differences between Tableau and Power BI. I think that might be interesting. And so now I am on day 56. So we have 10 more days left. I think this amount of time is great. 10 days, I'm going to work on more practical hands-on stuff. Probably going to build another dashboard. Maybe find some Power BI challenges online and try to do them. Okay, so I'm finally getting to it. I have skipped Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
4 days. It's a bit hard to get to sitting down to practice. I think learning and watching videos was so much easier. I could do that during commute. But getting to practice, you really have to on the laptop, and then I have to work with this old laptop over here. It can be quite painful. So I have found this Workout Wednesday challenge page. So I know this page from Tableau, and it also seems like they have Power BI, so which is great, good for my learning right now. So I'm going to start with something easy. Probably going to start with this 2022 week 1 challenge, and we will see how many we can complete. And yeah, let's go. Today is day 66. Finally, I've come to the end of this challenge. Can't believe I made it through this 66 days. So starting from day 61 to 66, I managed to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the Workout Wednesday challenge. I think that was pretty good. I think this series of challenge allows me to go through quite a holistic practice on all the key features of Power BI. On the first 2 days, it was a warm-up to visualizations and formatting. So on the first day, I completed the week 1, which was pretty straightforward. So it's just to rebuild some sparkline and work on some formatting to put this dot on the last day and formatting the table. And then on the second day, I did the week 2 challenge, which goes through the page navigator feature and to put practice into how to use this page navigator, and did some design on the dashboard. And on the third day onwards, things got more complicated. Start working on some DAX formula. Here, this looks nice, so we got to work on how to use this reference date line and changing the parameters so that this reference line will move accordingly, and how to calculate using a DAX formula based on this parameter. So with this exercise, I managed to learn more about how to use var, how to use return, and do a nested DAX calculation. I don't think any of the 2 courses that I did actually went through this, or maybe it did, but I did not pay attention. But anyways, this was a good practice. And on the next day, I did the week 10 challenge, which got me to practice a little on the M query. So this is how the week 10 challenge looks like. I thought this visualization looks pretty cool, and it's something that seems more practical. Companies do look at risk matrix, and oftentimes you will see a risk matrix visualization like this. So I decided to try to rebuild this. And through this challenge, there is a section that does a data modeling part, which got me to have the chance to practice how to work with mQuery. This challenge did not actually require me to work with mQuery, but I wanted to understand it better. And I actually spent quite a bit of time watching another YouTube tutorial to understand the fundamentals of how the mQuery syntax works. Again, I don't think this was something that was very well covered in both of the courses. And the next day, I continued working on week 10 and started building this custom visual. So as you can see, this risk matrix table, it was actually a custom visual. It's actually using this hypnotic panel, which I thought was quite cool how the custom visual works. You can upload any custom image and it could detect the boxes in the image. So for example, this table over here, I uploaded this as a table and it could detect that this was to contain a certain value and this was to contain a certain value. Somehow it works that we can assign particular values to spaces in an image, and then I can use it as a visualization to map out my values onto this image over here. So I thought it was pretty cool how this custom visual could work like that, and it got me a chance to be exposed to working with custom visual in Power BI. So it really took me a pretty long time. As you can see, all the practice I took, this is like 3 hours. Yeah, I really spent the time trying to figure things out. And the week 32 challenge here looks like this. Again, I wanted to find something more practical, maybe something that I can relate better to work. So I found this sales looking dashboard. And this dashboard challenge, the main requirement was actually to play around with this new parameter feature. So this got me familiarized with things like how Power BI actually releases preview features that may not be stable for use, but but you still can go to the option and play around with the new feature. So actually when I was playing with this new feature, somehow it didn't work quite well for me. I'm not sure if I was doing it wrong or it's just that the feature wasn't stable at all. So anyways, I had to rebuild this using the workaround method of how to build a parameter. So again, it was a good practice on how to build a list parameter. I was quite surprised that the Power BI parameter can only take in one single value. So you need to work with lists to kind of build a list parameter where you can input this value to use them as some sort of parameters. And I thought in Tableau it was so much more straightforward to use a parameter. And it's also quite surprising that this new field parameter is a new feature. When I saw this, I thought, easy challenge, because in Tableau, I could build it quite easily. I know how to build a toggle switch of different measures using a parameter. But in Power BI, it took me quite a while to understand and find the solution for it. But it was alright, it's not too complicated also. But what got me stuck was actually this part over here, where I tried to build a solution of them selecting a product name. So it will show the sales value of this particular product, and then it will show the average for all other products. So I've spent hours trying to find a solution, but I couldn't find a good solution to it. So I've tried to look for some really complicated looking ones. So this was exactly what I wanted. To be able to click on the selected filter over here, and you will filter this and group others and others. But somehow I tried to follow this step by step, but it still did not work. I'm not sure why, what happened. Okay, so that wraps up my 66 days of challenge on Power BI. Some thoughts on this challenge. The idea of this challenge was to see if I could create a learning habit with this 66 days. I'm not sure if I did. This challenge still motivates me to learn because I set this 66 days to learn, and I keep reminding myself that I'm doing a challenge, I'm going to do it. So in that case, I think it helps to motivate me to actually put the time to learn something. And I think this timeline is a pretty good timeline. I could casually learn about things, not having to do it so intense, and still able to have a pretty good understanding of the subject matter. For me, again, of course, practice is the most important way for me to learn. Where I actually learned the most was actually through the last few days of hands-on practice, where I was intensively trying to understand how to make things work. And surprisingly, without actually having a proper structure, I felt like I had a holistic practice of Power BI, from all the different features, from the data transformation part where I need to understand a bit on the M query, to actually building the calculations where I need to understand on the DAX, and exploring the interface, understanding how to format things and get familiarized with the interface, and also explored the additional external add-ons of custom visual. I think it's pretty good that I ended off the entire challenge that way, and it got me exposed to a new data visualization tool to see capabilities of other tools. I'm actually pretty impressed with Power BI on its flexibility to customize. There is so much to customize, and I like how intuitive the visualization is. But I have to say that the interface is not intuitive at all to me. I find it really complicated. I can't find things. I don't know where to edit. And then there is the difference of things like M query, DAX, and then you must understand what is the difference between adding a column, what's the difference between a measure, and when do you use these differences. Whereas I felt like in Tableau it was more straightforward. You want a calculation, you do a calculation. There's no split between creating a column or doing a DAX calculation. I guess the logic behind the engine is similar, understanding whether it aggregates on the row or aggregates on the column. But in Power BI, you have to know where to find the right parts to make things work. Whereas in Tableau, I just go to a calculated field and it does both creating a column and creating a aggregated calculation. So things like this makes Power BI a little more not intuitive. But why I say the visualization is intuitive is I felt like Power BI visualization feels more standardized and more practical. It has all the common visualization like a KPI card, tables. Oh my god, tables is amazing in Power BI. The flexibility with the table, I really love that a lot. But yeah, at the end, I think no tool is perfect. There will always be something painful that you'll find in any tool. And so yeah, that wraps up my first 66 days of data challenge. And I think I will continue to practice on Power BI. I want to build a entire dashboard from scratch. And will I do this challenge again? I think I probably would. I'll take a break for a while, think of a new topic, and I might start the next one.